Don Le Batard.
Man, Le Batard, you're a wimp. You never put your hand in the dirt. It's football. It's a man's game. Be a man. Get concussed.
Stugats.
Be a man, Le Batard. Have your brain scrambled. Drool out your mouth. Drool, Le Batard. Be a man.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Are you okay with Dave Chappelle and Jack White controlling your cell phone?
You know who else is doing it? I can't remember what arena. Maybe it's Georgetown. Their home arena where they play. There's a section or a couple of sections where you cannot bring your cell phone. You can't use it. You have to talk to people.
But this is interesting, right? Because the addictions that America has that are frowned upon and illegal, you don't. This is Jack White and Dave Chappelle telling you in a scolding parental manner, pay attention.
Yeah.
And are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think a lot of people aren't good with that.
No, I'm good with it, man. I go to all these concerts. I go to a lot of dead shows, and there are always people. They're talking. They're holding their cameras up. They're sitting in front of me, and I'm like, let's go, man.
I get it as a philosophical life point. Hey, enjoy your life instead of videotaping. Live your life instead of showing everybody how you're living your life. You usually don't want that stuff from your artists. Chappelle and Jack White, who are a couple of the cool guys, are telling you, not at my shows.
Totally good
no
with that.
phone.
Yep, totally fine with that.
It's more likely to fly with his fan base because you're already buying into a certain style.
Well, who else can do that, though? Because I'm not sure that you guys are tolerating someone else telling you, hey, this unhealthy addiction you have to your phone and your social media, you're not going to have it in my place of work. I don't know that there are a lot of people you're tolerating that from.
Well, no, I think to Mike's point, if you're a fan of someone, you will tolerate it. If you want to see that person perform that badly, you'll put your phone away for 3 hours and watch them perform.
Okay. And I just don't think that there are that many people with the bona fides to be able to tell their customers, your addiction is not acceptable in my place of work. If you wish to see me perform for you, not only will you pay, you will leave your addiction at the door. There aren't a lot of people who have the kind of creative clout to tell their customers that, and their customers are like, yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir.
Yeah, I guess you're
Whatever
right.
you say, boss.
Right. I mean, you have to have the clout. You have to have a massive following. You're right.
There aren't a lot of people with the creative juice to throw that in the customer's face. What I wanted to ask you before we get to Stephen A. Smith and some of the silly stuff. Stephen A. Smith's going to join us in 10 minutes. The GOAT, the best there ever was. I want to ask you about this news that broke during our show yesterday, and now today it's happening again with Michigan State and the chancellor resigning at Michigan State. The chancellor had 13 years of what is deemed good service, and the chancellor, as far as I can tell, handled this mess about as well as this mess can ever be handled, which is never well. And yet she had to resign today, and that feels understandable. But what I wanted to ask you, and I want to make sure, I think it goes without saying, obviously this is not in any way pro-pedophilia. We're all in agreement on the fact that what that doctor did is horrific, and he deserves the greatest punishments our country has on this front because the crimes are heinous, and he took advantage of young girls sexually, and you cannot have that as behavior in this or any country.
And he got him. He got the harshest punishment.
Okay, he got the harshest punishment.
His death certificate.
But that's right. The judge said, I'm signing your death certificate. But what I want to ask you guys is this, because I find this subject matter very difficult. That doctor cannot control, correct, who he's attracted to. The attraction itself is not something that a pedophile can control, right? No one in our audience right now can control what or whom they're attracted to. The feeling, I'm saying. Correct or incorrect, what I'm saying?
There's plenty of people that would say you're incorrect.
Yes.
Hold on a second.
And I don't know enough to say whether they can or they can't.
Hold on a second. You guys think this isn't a brain chemistry issue problem, you don't think there are people in our audience right now saying, I can't help it, I'm attracted to children. I can't control this attraction that I have.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are plenty that are saying that, though.
Okay, well, all right. Because the premise might be flawed if you don't agree with the initial thing that you can't control who you're attracted to. If I just say to you in general terms, and I don't make it kids, can you control who you're attracted to. Men, women, children, animals. Can you control the attraction? Not can you control the behavior that comes after the attraction. That is a must.
Right.
In a civilized community, it is a must. It doesn't matter what your thoughts are, what your feelings are, what your attractions are. You must control what you do with those actions the moment that they impede upon anyone else.
So I think a lot of people would agree with what you said on the front end. Yeah, you can't control that, but you should be able to control. Once you realize that, you should be able to know the difference between right and wrong, and you should be able to control what you do.
All
with
right,
that attraction.
and Louis C.K. has had problems with control, but he addressed this on Saturday Night Live and other places. He took the dangerous subject matter on. What a horrible thing to live with. If you are attracted to children, can't control that attraction to children, and you know that the penalty for not controlling that attraction is you're gonna lose your freedom and your life in the most humiliating, awful way possible. You're choosing a prison sentence where you will be the victim of everything that happens in prison because of how prison treats this thing. And yet still you did it. And yet still you did it. What kind of control do you have over your impulses when you choose that? When you choose to, I can't control my impulses. I have to do this with kids. I have to take advantage of this. And when I get caught, it's going to be the worst existence that a human being can endure on this planet. I am going to pay for my sins. The harm that I have wrought on these children, I'm going to pay for it with what remains of my life in prison by being treated like one of these children, by being taken advantage of. That is vengeance. That is justice. That is how America handles these things. But I'm curious, and I ask you this sincerely, while all of us want those people in jail because they need to be kept away from children, to me, jail seems like the worst possible place to put these people. Like, if I were to choose on earth.
What's the alternative?
I know that's the problem. We don't have an alternative.
Facility.
We don't have an alternative because everyone understands these crimes must be punished. But to me, the mind of someone who is a pedophiliac, to me, that whatever is happening in that mind, a pedophile is what I should call him. I'm sorry, it's not a pedophiliac.
That's a fine.
Is it?
I believe so.
An awkward one, but it is.
That's not a fine. How do we handle this? It feels like what America does with this issue is just throws it in its penal system because we don't know where else to put it.
Right, but Dan, what if, and we have no way of knowing this, what if this guy thought he would never get caught?
Okay, maybe, Stugatz.
Because he got away with it for so long.
All right, maybe, Stugatz, but what does that matter? Most pedophiles know that if you act on that impulse and get caught, it's going to be a pretty horrible prison sentence. I think most people know that. It's not even the normal. Look, imagine how much you fear losing your own freedoms. Now make it a lot worse than that. It's not just losing your freedoms. You're the least respected thing in our prison system, and you're the thing that's going to be taken advantage of physically and sexually by anyone who wants to do it. You are now going to live an eternity that is not unlike what you brought to the lives of these little girls at Michigan State.
But I just think people are having a hard time saying you can't control your attraction. I'm attracted to money. I don't go steal it, man.
Okay, well, that's
I think I am stealing it right now, actually, as a matter of fact.
True. Yep. You are. The first part's true.
Awkward transition.
You're addicted to money.
Time for some ads.
And you often do very questionable things around money. I just think it's worth thinking about. I know many of you are uncomfortable with the subject matter. You certainly don't want it with your sports. You don't want it with your sports radio. But it is something that I don't have a solution for you. It seems like we've got the best case scenario of just throwing all pedophiles in jail for as long as you can and make it horrible for them. It seems like that's the best we can do. But I do wonder what a horrible hell it must be to be someone who is attracted to 13-year-old boys and girls and can't help it. Knows it's wrong, but cannot help it. You're just attracted to that. And then the next step on that is you have to control that behavior for the safety of all of us. We have to control it, but the way we control it is by throwing it in jail. And it's not controlling it. Like, it's not actually working.
No.
Because these crimes keep happening.
But to many people, it feels right. It feels like the right punishment.
I get it.
Hey, go suffer what you did to them.
That's fine. And that's the best we can do. I get it.
Yeah.
1-800-Flowers, people. Again with the awkward transition into 1-800-Flowers. That's my fault. Stephen A. Smith is going to join us next. Stephen A. Smith does sports poetry, love poems, loves sports. He's going to join us next.
Don Le Batard.
Let me be very, very clear. When it comes to commentary, talking about the game of basketball, I'm just talking about on television, the combination of content and personality and presentation. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think I'm the best in America. I really do.
Stugotz.
He's the best, man. He is the best. He is great at television, great at radio, and I wish I had that kind of confidence about anything in my life other than my appetite.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer, going to join us in about 15 minutes. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show on demand in the ESPN app. While I was talking there, a piece of lettuce came out of my mouth. Shredded, by the way. Plus our Miami-only hour that airs before the show, and now you can subscribe to our Best of podcast. It's all available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. He's the greatest to ever do this. He's Stephen A. Smith. He's on after us, 1 to 3 nationally on ESPN Radio. And he joins us now in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Not only is Stephen A's confidence something to behold, but Stugotz's is as well, because he thinks his every thought is important, which is why he told you that his lettuce was shredded that he just spit out.
Well, no, I know people are watching on TV and they saw the lettuce just fly out
but
of my
also
mouth.
you think every thought you have is an important one.
Confirmed.
Stephen A. Smith with us now on ESPN Radio, and he created a stir here with some things said about Dan Gilbert. And before we just go any further, thank you as always, Stephen A. Greatest to have.
All right, can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? I'm just checking because I'm in the cafeteria. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
got you.
Yes,
We
sir.
got you.
What cafeteria?
all right, no
You're in
problem.
the Bristol cafeteria
Bristol one,
right
yeah.
now?
No. I'm in the ABC building in New York City.
Okay.
Today.
And so how does that
That's where
work?
I'm at.
Have you gotten lunch yet? Do you have it? Are you picking it up now?
I've gotten lunch. I had to stand online for about 10, 15 minutes, get my food, pay for it, and hope that I made it in time for the radio show, which I did.
Okay. So what did you get?
Chicken, grilled chicken sandwich,
Nice.
slice of Swiss cheese, some fries. I'm cheating today. Messing with my workout, but I've been eating salads for the last 3 days. So I just said, you know what? I'm cheating today. I don't give a damn.
Do they know who you are? Because I figure you just show up there and lunch is sitting on the table,
everywhere
man.
they know where he is. But like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Do you sit by yourself? Do people gather around to ask your opinion on
I know.
sports?
No, I don't give them that opportunity. The only chance you get to talk to me is when I'm standing online. I get my food, and in Bristol, I'll go to my office, or here in New York City, I'll go upstairs to one of the offices, and I'll chill out. I like to be left alone because I only got that hour break before I go from first take to radio, and I like to be hyped, psyched, and ready to go, and I don't like anybody messing with my mood.
Well, Stephen A. Smith can't eat publicly without being bothered, right? That's not possible anymore.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I mean, they will come up to me and try, but I'm not the most easily approachable dude in the world. And if you come up to me, you better do so respectfully. Otherwise, you never know what's gonna happen. Because I don't mind cussing somebody out if I have to. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wait a minute, but hold on a second.
Yes.
So I don't think Stephen A. Smith can eat in public without a person approaching his table in America. Am I wrong?
That is true.
Okay.
That is true. They do. I get approached all the time, but most people approach me very respectfully. They might ask for an autograph or a picture, or they might give a comment or whatever the case may be. And I'm certainly courteous. I was raised right. But if you come up to me and you're disrespectful, you're gonna get your feelings hurt.
All right. I don't want to do role playing. Stephen A. Smith is an accomplished journalist. He doesn't need my help with this. But could we hear what that might sound like if someone approached Stephen A. Smith in the wrong fashion?
I can give you an example. I can get one time, and I'm not a violent person, but I almost had to be restrained. My mom, God rest her soul, I took her out for dinner for her birthday one time. This was maybe about 5 years ago, and somebody did not like a comment that I had said about their team. They literally tried to sit down to get on me about my comments while my mother was sitting next to me. Now, Dan Le Batard, you and I go back many years. How'd you think that went over?
Well, I can't wait to find out. I cannot wait to find out in your own words how that went over.
I told the guy, you got 3 seconds to get it right now. I'm gonna whip your ass.
Okay.
That's exactly what I told him.
And did he get up?
And then, he got up. He got up. And he was ready. He was ready to fight. And my mother grabbed my arm, told me, Stephen, don't do that. Because obviously my mother didn't raise me to be that way. But I was so offended that he knew it was clear I was with my mother.
Well,
and for him to come over to me in front of my mother and try to interrupt our dinner over something like that, yes, it was the first time in my career that I had to be restrained from putting my hands on somebody.
Well, how does this work professionally for you, Stephen A? Because you don't mind your fights. You are coming at peers in the NBA when you come at Durant and everybody else. Has it ever gotten to a point journalistically like that where you have to say to somebody,
Yeah.
I've been in a locker room with you on Dampier, and you are not quiet about what your opinion is if someone's a bum. And I'm just wondering how often that has resulted in possible physical confrontation.
Well, a couple of times. I won't mention any names because I got in a little bit of trouble of that. But, I mentioned names in the news before, so I'll refrain from mentioning who. But there were a couple of instances where that almost happened because somebody felt the need to get in my face because they didn't like what I said. When it comes to the athletes, I don't know if people truly appreciate this. I'm indebted to them, and I'm grateful to them because I don't think the industry is what it is if it wasn't for the marvelous skills that they have and what they're able to put on display. So I respect all of those guys. I just have to chronicle what you do. That's my job. I don't talk about who you are because I don't know you like that. I talk about what you do in public view. If you stink, you stink. If you are sorry, you are sorry. If you are great, you are great. If you make a decision, then you make a decision. For example, you bring up Kevin Durant. I will never deviate from my position that it was the weakest move that I've ever seen by a superstar for him to go to the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's one of the greatest players in the game. He's a superstar. He's a future Hall of Famer who happens to be a very, very good guy whose family is Mama Durant and everybody who I've met and have talked to on many occasions, and I seem to know a little bit. They're all wonderful people. It doesn't take away from any of those things. But that particular move was weak to me. Now, people take it and they run away with it. Just like yesterday on First Take, I'm talking about how LeBron and his people think that if he were to commit to 3 to 5 years, who's to stop Dan Gilbert from then turning around and selling the Cleveland Cavaliers and getting a boatload of money because the franchise has more valuable with LeBron on the squad than it does with him off of it. So that's what I said. But then you have bloggers that go out there and say, well, Stephen A. said that Dan Gilbert's trying to sell the Cavs, which I did not say. And so you see people lying about you all the time or embellishing your positions because that's how folks become relevant in this day and age. If they couldn't work their way up the terrain and do it on their own accord, like me and you and Stu and others have done, what they do is they use names to bring recognition to themselves. This is the way the world is right now. It's sad, but that's the way it goes.
Stephen A., I am with you on Kevin Durant. I have a personal record book, and in my personal record book, Kevin Durant has not won an NBA championship. Has he won one in your personal record book?
Yes, he has.
Oh!
And the reason why he's won a championship is because he didn't just show up and ride the coattails of anybody else. He was the MVP of the NBA Finals. He averaged 35 on.
But if he hadn't been, he would not have a championship.
He'd have a championship. I just wouldn't recognize him as a champion.
Yeah, that's it. Same thing. Yeah.
If he had not performed the way that he performed.
All right. Stephen A., always a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you for making the time, sir.
Take it easy, guys.
Stephen A. Smith Show right after ours, 1:03. Do not interrupt him during his sandwich. Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer, next.
Don Le Batard.
I feel terrible.
Here's the thing with you. You don't actually feel terrible.
I didn't feel a thing, to be honest with you. And I don't really care.
I know. You announcing I feel terrible is just your way to move on to the next terrible thing you're going to do.
Stugats.
They're just words, and words mean nothing to you.
They don't mean nothing. His words mean nothing.
Words are just transitions to your next lie.
That's so right. They're not words. They are bridges to lies.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We are happy for him. He's been a friend of the show for a while. We loved watching him work, and now he is in his rightful place in the Hall of Fame.
I'm a Mets fan. I hated watching him work.
I know. Yeah, he enjoyed crushing your spirit. I don't think there's anything he enjoyed more than hitting home runs at Shea. In fact, let's start there. Chipper Jones with us, Hall of Famer Chipper Jones. Name a thing in your career better than hitting a home run at Shea. You named one of your children Shea just because you love hitting home runs at Shea. Name one thing in your career better than that, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I think just hearing how much a career Mets fan loves to hate me is good enough for me, man.
What is better? What is better? If you can only have one in your life, if Chipper Jones can only have one in his life, being inducted into the Hall of Fame or the eternal hatred of Mets fans, which do you choose?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to shun the Mets fan and go with the Hall of Fame. It's a tremendous honor to go in, especially with this class. You're talking about, some great players, but some Hall of Fame people as well. So I'm extremely proud to be alongside these guys.
It's a good choice because while I hated watching you beat my team, I respected the hell out of you. So that's a good choice. The Hall of Fame.
Well,
I don't think he cares whether you respect him or not. In fact, which would you?
I respected his greatness.
Wait. Which would you prefer more from Mets fans? Their hatred or their respect?
I wanted the respect, but the hatred was kind of cool there for a while. It made for good TV. I was the villain, and my dad always said when I was little, he's a huge Mickey Mantle fan, so a fan of the Yankees there for a time, and he said he always told me, he said, if you can be successful on that stage up there, you can be successful anywhere. So. When I first came up here, man, I'm sitting in New York City as we speak. So, but when I first came up here, I never leave my room. This place was so intimidating to me. All the people, all the concrete. I'm used to trees and grass and yards and stuff, and it intimidated me. But luckily for me, when I went to Queens, they had some grass and some clay and a mound and home plate and fences that I could hit the ball over, and I felt a little more comfortable, out there. So, but as I got older, I started branching out. I started to feel more comfortable up here. I love the interaction with the fans walking down the street, window shopping, go get a haircut, go get fitted for a suit, something like that. And that interaction with not just Mets fans, but Yankee fans, all throughout the years was it got a lot better as my career went on.
Chipper, I've got a lot of questions for you. Again, Chipper Jones with us, Hall of Famer now, Chipper Jones. And I want to ask you about your father and your relationship with your father. Your father, who would he say is the best switch hitter ever? Would he say Mickey Mantle or would he say you?
100%, he would say Mickey Mantle. 100%.
Would you tell him that he's wrong?
Of course I would. There's nobody on the, living or not living that I would rather have at the plate than me. Okay, I have.
That's awesome.
I have that kind of confidence, but obviously, Mickey Mantle, the matinee idol up here. He was the first to do it, and he was the first to do it at an elite level. And trust me, I have no problem being second to Mickey in any category.
Chipper,
I have no problem.
Chipper, do you look at the numbers and say, no, here I'm better? Where are you better? You know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, but Dad, they don't care. They always think
that's
that Mantle's better.
That's fine. Yeah. But Chipper, tell me off the top of your head the numbers of yours that you know are better than Mickey Mantle's. Tell me.
I got a higher career batting average, and I have more RBI.
All right. So you got a good. That's it.
Do you ever tell Dad that?
Yeah, of course he tells Dad. What's Dad's argument to that? In fact, Allison, hit Dad on the phone right now. I want to have this argument with Chipper's dad because this is like he's got to give it to you. You're in the Hall of Fame now. He's got to give it to you.
Well, I think it's very hard to compare people from different eras, number one. And, but, Mickey hit 500 homers. And, I would say this, Mickey didn't play as long as they did. So, if he throws those numbers during the span of, 19 years, 20 years, there's no telling. Sky's the limit for what Mickey would have done.
Chipper, speaking of your dad, the Braves came to your home, I believe, and they offered you a contract and wanted to make you the number one pick. And your dad, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, your dad didn't want you to sign that contract?
It wasn't that he didn't want to. He said, you can get more money out of him. And I go, you know what? I want to make my money in the big leagues. I'm not going to make it off this signing bonus. I said, I don't want to raise any waves. I don't want to be looked down upon as a bonus baby. I want to go play and start my journey to the big leagues. I'll make up for, this signing bonus, at the next level. So that's kind of where we decided to go down and pretty much sign for what the Braves wanted.
I don't know your answer to this, Chipper. I'm sure that you've probably answered a version of this question before. Would you have wanted Barry Bonds to be in your Hall of Fame class?
That's a good question. I have no problem whatsoever saying that Barry Bonds is the best baseball player I've ever seen don a uniform. I have no problem with that. I think he's a Hall of Famer, whether there's a cloud of suspicion or not. Part of me, says that if he gets into this class, that he's going to be the focus, and the rest of us are going to be, forgotten about.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at that, Chipper. I like the honesty in that.
Done,
it's
Chipper.
not that I don't want him in because of the steroids saying. I just don't want him taking my day.
Right.
Vlad Guerrero was an expo. He could sit behind me.
Let him go in with Hector Martinez.
My day.
And that's no disrespect. I think we're all going to get our due before it's all said and done. No question about it. And I think before his time is up on the ballot, he and Roger both are going to get in because very rarely do you see. And I followed a couple of the ballot trackers this year. If you put one on, the other one's got to go as well. And if you don't vote for one, the other one's not going to get voted for, and vice versa. So it's tough because some of the best players of our era have this cloud over them, and it's very unfortunate because you're talking about some all-timers. Barry Bonds, obviously, be considered one, if not the best. One of the couple best players to ever play the game. Clemens, one of the best pitchers of our era. I'm a little biased because I played with Maddox, but certainly have no problem putting him in the Hall either. And some of the guys coming up here pretty soon, whether it's, A-Rod or whoever. But, that's a good question. I always get the tough questions when I come on this show. I gotta really brush up on my homework before I come on.
Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with us here on ESPN Radio. Since you received the news that you were going into the Hall of Fame, what's the call you've gotten that surprised you the most?
Oh, let's see. Man, that's a good one too. I gotta just getting. I think the bulk of how many people have reached out. I didn't know I had this many friends, to be honest with you. I've gotten probably 400 texts, and obviously I looked at Twitter a little bit this morning, and I got a tweet from Jeff Gordon, who's been a good friend of mine for a long time.
Did you cry, Chipper? Did you cry? Did anybody make you cry yesterday?
100%. I think it would have been fine if my mom and dad hadn't been there.
Right.
But, just all these emotions, when I got the call and obviously embraced my wife and whatnot, but when I turned around, I locked eyes with my dad, and he was standing across the room, and you could just see his eyes were swelled up, and I mean, at that point, it's like, I'm like a, 2-year-old kid again. I'm
the best switch hitter, Dad. Go bleep yourself.
Go tell him right
I'm
now,
the best.
Chipper, go tell him right now.
Thank you, Chipper, for being on with us. Congratulations. Really happy for you,
Thanks,
sir.
guys. All
right, Chipper. Congratulations.
Don Le Batard.
Did you know that Jose Canseco's finger fell off during a poker game?
We did a good show today, man.
68% of the audience said no. That's all we got today.
Is that all?
Our job is done.
Stugats.
That's a quality program we put together.
Good job, everyone.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Just do it on air. Just do it on air because you've been wanting to do it all show. You've been wearing me out during every break. Go ahead. Just do it on air what you want to say about Tony Romo.
Well, it's amazing because Chris Sims is going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, give us his 39th best quarterback in the NFL. It's amazing what happened here with Romo, Phil Simms, and Jim Nantz. And I'm sorry Chris needs to hear this or has to hear this. Jim Nantz, it's clear that he just went out and found a younger Phil Simms who's maybe a little bit more attractive and certainly someone that he has more in common with because Romo is playing in all these golf tournaments. Nantz is going to play with him, pro-ams, professional exemptions, and We're hearing reports that Romo is going to be calling golf on CBS with Jim Nantz.
Wait a minute. I have not heard any reports. That can't be true.
I have it right here.
Wait a minute. That can't be true. Chris Sims, are you learning this for the first time right now? Are you just learning this right now, or did you know this, Chris Sims?
No, I knew that this was a possibility that Tony Romo was going to be involved in the golf broadcast. Yes, so I mean, Stugatz is spot on right now.
All right, and in terms of also Nantz turning in your father for a younger, hotter model.
Well, listen, you know my thoughts on that. I mean, I think Jim Nantz, he's the franchise quarterback, so he's like Aaron Rodgers in his prime. If he wants a receiver out of there, then he can probably make those type of calls to get it out of there. So,
right. All right, very good.
You know, at least that's what I'd like to think. I'm pretty sure I'm on with that one.
Right. So, number 39, Chris Sims, the 39th best quarterback in the NFL, according to Chris Sims of Bleacher Report, is
Derek Anderson, Carolina Panthers.
Wow, Derek Anderson ahead of Mike Glennon, really?
Yes,
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, I'm going to give it to him just a little bit. You know, again, they're very similar, and it's a good question by you, Le Batard, but the biggest thing is Derek Anderson's got a little bit better mobility. That's why I give him a little bit of a notch up over Mike Glennon.
I mean, but what's that saying? A cinder block has more mobility than Glennon. And while I'm at it, Derek Anderson. Like saying Derek Anderson is more mobile than anything just means he's got big concrete feet.
Well, that was my favorite argument, guys. I know a favorite topic of yours with the Colin Kaepernick. Oh, he doesn't fit in our system. So does Derek Anderson fit in the Cam Newton system? See, that was a bunch of BS, like media crap.
All right, very good. We will.
You are good, Sid.
Yeah, you're good. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, see you guys.
All right, see you.
All right, let's go ahead and update the polls that we've got for today, Stugatz.
At Le Batard Show on Twitter, are we all pawns in Stugatz's game? 90% of the audience said yes.
It's so true.
Can you have a cold for 2 months? Greg Cody says he had this cold for 2 months. I've had it for like 2 weeks. 51% of the audience said yes, Dan. Is it fair for the NBA to ask for 1% of gambling on its games while advocating the government to change the laws on gambling? 57% of the audience said yes.
People, that's a thing that's happening in America right now. NBA is trying to change the gambling laws.
Is there quiet time and a meditation room in Stephen A. Smith's life? 73% of the audience said no. Would you buy an album of Stephen A. Smith singing? 64% of the audience said no. Wow. Shocking. Is CBS against young people? 91% of the audience said yes. When Vince McMahon announces the new XFL today, is he going to have Johnny Manziel with him? 81% of the audience said yes.
What about the CBS ageist poll?
You skipped that.
Did you skip that because you didn't know how to read it?
Skip the word age.
Is that
I didn't see it. I'm sorry. No, I was trying to go fast here because there's so many polls. Is CBS ageist against young people? Sorry. 91% of the audience said yes. Sorry about that. Is there something inside of Russell Westbrook that has never been inside of anyone else? 71% of the audience said yes. Is Manziel versus Tebow in the first XFL game a ratings bonanza? 95% of the audience said yes.
Allison, it's okay that you didn't get Chipper Jones's dad.